So approved. Okay, fiscal officer report.
There's $1,549,718.01 in all funds, and $275,457.
Come back tonight.
I could do that.
All right. Those were read. The motion was made by, so moved. Seconded by. Second. Pay the bills as presented.
Fox,
Yes.
Ball,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Walty,
Yes.
Nick. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Craig. Yes. Yes. More. So, as far as touch base of everybody, obviously, the completed project on the street, fortunately, right after it got done, we did have a water issue. Basically, what happened with that was, the pipe went rolled up the bottom, gasket a little bit, and that's what caused the leak. We pressure tested it. You wouldn't. This is the kind of thing that's not going to show up immediately with the pressure test, because that gasket's going to hold. It's going to kind of work its way over time, and that's what basically created the leak. I will say, as soon as we knew there was a leak, we kind of had the perfect storm because we were doing the water tower at the same time. So we didn't get a chance to find it until we went back to normal operation. And as soon as Aaron said, hey, we think we have something, we had the leak test people come in right away, and pretty much the next day they took care of that. As far as anything else with this now goes moving on, there is a maintenance bond, a year maintenance bond that's in place. Not actually in place with you guys because of the way you guys got the funding for this. It got bid through Always County. So the bond really runs through Always County, but it's for this project. So you have it through that contractor. But if you're looking for it here, you don't physically have it here because it went to the county commissioners. But there's a year maintenance bond, and pretty much what we always do, and this goes with seeding, it goes with everything else. We'll go through the project and see if any needs reseeded or overseeded after you get through the winter, and pretty much you let the spring grow, and then you check it before you get to that year bond. Yeah. On that bond, Craig, I know last month in Aaron's report, he talked about how much water we had lost, how much electricity it costs, all of those ancillary costs because we were doing the water tower right when that happened. So there was no way to know that there actually was something going on. As soon as we knew that there was any leak at all, within 2 days we had the leak test people out there, found it, and we fixed it. It's hard to go back and tell a company that they owe you for something when nobody really knew what was going on because they pressure tested the line. So I'm not an attorney, but I kind of said to Aaron, I said, if you want to go after them for something that you say has been going on for a month and a half, they say, well, why didn't somebody say something to us? We'd come in and fix it. We had the line pressure tested. As far as we knew, everything was good because it did pass, it did hold. It's one of those, you hate to say perfect storm, but when we had the water tower going, we had a valve on line to reduce the pressure so we were wasting water. So we just thought, well, this is what we need to waste to be able to do the water tower. As soon as we got done with that, we found out, hey, we're using more water. They had it fixed within a number of days. So I think you'd be hard pressed to say, well, we know to go after this contractor way back then. I'm not an attorney. I'm telling you guys can't do something like that. Probably not. I would think in my 30 years of doing this, I've seen lots of reasons why there's a good reason to go after a contractor for a cause. I think this would be a tough one, and that's actually what I told Aaron to do. Thank you. Any questions for Craig?
I will want to say, driving down the street, I noticed the grass coming up on the street lawn there. So I was surprised to see it coming up green so quick. I know I walk through the park all the time, and I'm not seeing that same action back through there. But the street lawn.
And again, that's something that, get to the drain, let it settle in. If there is any settling, let that get through. And before we get to the hot summer months, they can come back in and address those, at least in the seeding portion of it. That way, that can be touched up before it's the wrong time of year to do it. Grass. So I was surprised that it was a really nice fall. As late as it was seeded.
Honestly, a lot of times it's the best thing for that is, and it doesn't look like we're going to get any, if you get an early snow, and you kind of get the snow to sit on it, then that's really seems to pop. But by the time we get some snow, I have a feeling it's going to be the middle of January and it's going to be on zero. It doesn't matter because we're going to have frost in the ground. But you're right. Yeah, there's some popping, but and I mean we can look at late spring a lot of times though with the time that this maintenance is, isn't typically when grass likes to grow, unless people want to water it. Other than that, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Same to you. What about, where are we at with the East public hearings and all of that stuff? We set up where we were going to have new energy here. Yeah. And then I did send you the.
That's something I got to me now. So in the December bills, they go out in January. We'll put that survey in there. We have some data back towards the end of the month. That's when we'll have our public hearing before the council meeting. We'll talk about it beforehand, and then we'll be able to give you guys your office time to collect that information.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that at the first meeting. We're going to do that your first. I don't have my calendar in front of me. We're going to do your first January, right? Yes. Yeah. So I'll give you the flyers that you post a couple places around town and put on.
Yeah, we'll put that in 13 places, maybe we'll put that on Facebook and the website. Craig, you had made mention at one time out of the whole project, this is worth a certain amount of points. 15 points. Yeah. So it's not an end all be all. We want as much as we can. Even if you get 800.
Every one matters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because say you get, the state has, I think, what is it, $7.5 million to spend on this, and they literally usually do 10 projects. Now, typically, we've got a very good track record of having good projects in kind of like what we did on Waynesfield Street. So we've got a very good track record of doing it, but every
Sure.
see, I'm not going to tie you guys up with everything else you guys going.
No, that's for the first part of the year.
Yeah, so, anything else? Happy holidays. Yeah. Be careful out here. It is layer of ice on the way. Yeah, it's getting a little slick. Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Good holiday. All right. Do the swearing in of officers. Lisa? Yeah, I had to swear you in, Mr. Give me a second to read it. Can I have a second? You just read this here. I will not read it all at once, sir. Are you ready? Yeah. You, Rodney Zimmerman, I say, you say, I'm not, and you read. I, Rodney Zimmerman, do solemnly swear, that I will support the Constitution Elvis County,
and Elvis County.
Ohio.
Now, you can lock them up here on these both of the same bag.
This is like an Alzheimer's test, Bob. You ready? I,
Tom Miller, do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and faithfully,
and will faithfully, honestly,
and impartially discharge the duties of the office of village council.
and impartially discharge the duties of the village of the council, village of Waynesfield,
In our Waynesfield
in Waynesfield County,
Ohio. We'll sign this.
We'll sign that. All right. Thank you.
All right. Don't have any committee meeting reports, so let's go on the police report.
The community development team met on December 12th to go over the application for funding in the state budget for the park. The application was submitted to State Representative Susan Manchester's office on December 13th, and now we will wait to hear from her office. I don't currently have a time frame on when we might hear something, but I am, as I previously stated, cautiously optimistic on that. The annual holiday light competition is going on now in the village until December 25th. I will say there's really nice looking properties in the village this year. The winners will be announced on the Waynesfield Police Department Facebook page on December 26th. Sometime between December 1st and 24th, 3 non-resident judges will canvass the village to judge properties. All properties with holiday lights illuminated at the time the judges go by will be judged, so no one has to sign up to have their property viewed. As I reported just 3 weeks ago, the legalization of recreational marijuana is here. Ever since passage of issue 2, the legislature has been looking at making changes, and they've actually made some as recently as this past Friday through the Ohio Liquor Control Office and in a few other ways. The laws are likely to change more in 2024, though right now folks over 21 years old are permitted to consume cannabis, gift it to someone else, but not sell it. Adults are only allowed to consume cannabis sold by Ohio dispensaries or personally grown after December 7th, however. So that does limit what they can do at the moment. Any marijuana grown before December 7th or not sold by Ohio dispensaries is currently illegal. To add to the confusion, there are 6 prohibitions that adult consumers cannot do, including operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of adult cannabis use, smoking
smoking and vaping or using any other combustible cannabis product inside a vehicle. And on Friday, this past Friday, law enforcement was provided with a more than 2-page memo from the Ohio Attorney General's office giving us guidance and warning us that many changes are likely to happen next year. As you can imagine, the law enforcement response to the legalization of marijuana is filled with confusion, frustration, and in some cases, lack of action for fear of potential litigation. Unfortunately, other states that have recreational marijuana have spent years trying to address problems Ohio is just beginning to have, so there's really no clear-cut answer. The bottom line is the amount of revenue marijuana has created for those states is substantial, so our state sees the golden egg about to hatch here. Since the reopening of State Route 117 in Westminster, traffic in the village has resumed to normal like we had before the road closure. Since the completion of the West Walkenetta Street project, the Waynesfield PD has been monitoring traffic on West Walkenetta Street. The speed zones for eastbound traffic changed when the project was completed, as the 35-mile-an-hour zone now begins at Wayne Street and the 25-mile-an-hour zone now begins across from Dollar General. So far, we have primarily been issuing warnings for the speed violations in those areas to allow for an adjustment period. Beginning in 2024, however, we will start issuing citations as the roadway has been open for multiple months and folks should be acclimated with the changes. I do want to note that the speed zones for westbound traffic remain unchanged, as the speed limit is 35 miles an hour from the American Legion Hall to just west of Dollar General, where the speed limit then increases to 50 miles an hour until the corporation limit.
Nathan, can I ask you a question on that?
Sure.
Or do you want me to wait till you?
No, go right ahead.
Is there any way that we could move that detection sign from South Westminster Street to that area?
There is, yeah. Yes, there is. It's as simple as taking it down off the pole and finding another pole in that area
Since that's
since it's a new area.
since it's a new area, maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, or if we could get a second one,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, they cost about $5,000.
Well, then just move that.
mobility to be able to move it. That's why we had opted for the battery power. The solar power is more of a permanent mount. So again, if we can find grant money to obtain another sign, I wouldn't be opposed to getting a solar power because every 2 to 3 weeks I'm out there trying to change the battery. And so a solar power is much less labor intensive from what
voltage is that today?
I've got the batteries back in my office after the meeting. You can take a look at them if you want.
In the audio,
The audio's not right.
the audio is not right. They're saying, I'm getting text messages that says it's not able, it's difficult to understand. So
That's a streaming issue that I can't control.
just so you know,
Yeah.
I said it, so
Yeah.
I'm recording the meeting on my phone, so.
I'll look at it. I'll look at it afterwards too. The backup system maybe recording okay, but it may be a streaming. It's likely a streaming issue. We've run into that problem before.
Thank you.
I have a question of solar. How reliable is solar with our awful weather?
Well, I mean, it's.
Yeah, sunshine, you should get some
Yeah, I have no experience using solar power, so I'm not sure.
I can tell you that there are times during the winter when the solar lights on the outside do not charge.
Yeah. I mean, I
They
believe
do
that.
not.
We have more dark days than we do light days. So.
Practically not exhaustion is going to
Continuing on, I do want to mention that because West Walkenetta Street is a state route, the village does not set these speed zones. These zones are set based on the Uniform Traffic Code and have to do with various factors such as sidewalk location on both sides of the road, leaving the village versus entering the village, etc. So we don't. So I have had numerous people ask why the speed limit was one speed on one side of the road and another speed on the opposite side of the road, and so I've explained that. And just throw that out there in case you get questions. You'll know why. This past Saturday, I attended the annual Stop with the Blue event in Wapakoneta. Every year, enforcement from around the county joins forces to help provide underprivileged kids Christmas gifts. This year, each child was allowed to spend $125 in clothing and $75 in toys. Over 90 children were able to benefit from this program. Every law enforcement agency in the county was represented, and I'm told there were more officers present this year than in any other year that they have done this event. This is actually, I think, the first year they actually had to not allow applicants to be a part because they had so many people apply. So it's really grown in popularity. Moving on, the region recently experienced an email hoax that included a bomb threat at schools allegedly by a Russian terror group. There were multiple districts in the area that received the email, however, Waynesfield Goshen was not one of them. A similar, likely related hoax occurred in the spring of last year, and WG was not affected catch them, I will first issue a warning, then follow up with citations on any further incidents. As we conclude 2023, I'm currently transitioning my records in preparation of 2024. Thanks to the computer system we currently use, this is a much easier task than it used to be. I still have paper files that I have to manually transfer to our record storage, which isn't really that much anymore, but I will be spending a couple hours transitioning the digital and the physical records from this year to next. In the regularly scheduled January 2024 meeting, I will be providing the end-of-year statistics as well as my annual report to council. I will outline where we came from and where I would like to see this department go in the upcoming year.
Question. In the appropriations, you have monies that are budgeted out of the general fund. Am I correct?
Yes.
And do you have a separate line item budget within your department that you maintain?
I'm not sure what you mean by that question.
When you buy, do you have a separate budget? Like, do you break out what you spent and how you spent it in a separate budget?
No, it all goes in the appropriations, and we have operating supplies and things like that within the appropriations. So as the fiscal officer prepares the appropriations for the following year, that it shows, if we have contractual services, if we have, as far as
Right, it's all lumped together, though. It's not the police department, it's not separate. There's not a,
no, it's all within the general fund.
so there's no way to tell that if we appropriated $120,000 to police department last year, how much of that $120,000 was actually spent?
There should be a way to tell that. I believe you get monthly reports that say how much is spent.
Yeah, I'd like to have an end of the year report that tells me what the totals were in terms of what we appropriated. And the reason I'm asking, it's not just you, Nathan, is when I looked at the appropriations for this month, which would have been last month, we had 1 month left, and of the appropriations we still got 60-some% left overall in the entire budget.
Sure.
And one of the things that the audit said, when we had the audit, one of the things that the auditors commented on was that our appropriations had been loose, which led to an opportunity to I'm not saying we're overspending, but because we have such a large amount, there's the opportunity to overspend because the money's already been appropriated. So what I would like to know financially is, if we appropriated $125,000 to you for the police department,
Right.
did the police department spend $125,000, or did we only spend $60,000?
Yeah, I
Did
can,
we spend $70,000?
yeah,
What did we spend?
just off the top of my head, I know that we're under budget. Sarah and I just met today to talk about that, and it's just in the one fund. I know there's correct me if I'm wrong, about $12,000, $11,000 amount remaining, so I haven't gone anywhere close to being over that.
Right, and I'm sure with you, we've appropriated this year, current year, for two part-time officers.
Sure.
So I know that.
I don't know that we did, actually. I think that was cut last year.
Okay. See, I don't know.
Yeah, I believe that was cut last year. It was cut for the appropriations that you guys are set to look at tonight. It's been cut as well.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's very difficult with the accounting system that we use to look at and say, okay, this is what we appropriated, and this is how much at the end of the year we actually spent. It's very difficult to do that from a council perspective.
What do you mean, like, would we give you this report? What are you having a hard time seeing? Like, I'm just asking.
It's more of a total. Those are monthly statements, right? What I want to see is, for example, like what I just said with Nathan. If we appropriated overall through the budget, he should have had line items that he shared with you that went into appropriation and said, I need this much money for salaries, I need this much money for training, I need this. So he had a total that was for his department. What I want to know by department is if you were appropriated $125,000 by your department, did you spend the full $125,000 or did you only spend $60,000 at the end of the year? Is what I'm asking, Sarah.
Okay. At the end of the year, you'll get a report for next month as well. You'll see all that. And I think,
But I can't pull out just the police department and
but I could break that up if you want that report. But I'm not going to do it every session because.
No.
No, that's so like I can do the 110. This is the 110 one. We can do that. And if you'd like to look at them, that's perfectly
Yeah, but
fine.
110 is not just Nathan.
Yes, it is.
Is it 110 is just Nathan?
Yes.
Okay. Or any other department.
Like 320 Clark,
Okay.
30 main buildings, right?
Yeah, if we could do totals by departments and then identify those departments, and then we could see if we're actually, at least I would like to see how we're actually progressing on an annual basis, not just a monthly, quarterly basis.
Is that also show the income that's coming in as well? So are you wanting the revenue as well as the expenditures?
I'd like to have a balance sheet. I think that would be great.
I think that's to get an accurate picture of what's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because otherwise it's going to look like you're spending a ton of money and not bringing it in.
Right. And I'm not saying we're a revenue generator. We're never
appropriating what we're actually spending, because in some ways, we may be appropriating too much, and we may not be appropriating enough.
Well,
You know, I mean, it's a double-edged sword.
yeah, I've struggled with this battle for now almost 20 years, and I've prided myself at spending below the budgeted amount every year. I don't want to get in the habit where I feel like I have to spend every dime just so my budget doesn't get cut.
I'm not saying.
Well, I know, but sometimes politics gets to work, and that's the danger. I want to be responsible as a resident and as a taxpayer to not go overboard.
Here's what I'm saying to you. I'm sitting in this seat not for politics.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in this seat for people.
Yeah.
And the people of this community. I think people know I speak my mind and I talk to people and I try to be truthful. But I can't be truthful if I don't have the full picture.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm trying to do.
So if we roll over the amount of money that they had,
They can't go unless we approve it.
then what I mean is, if there's a balance at the end of this year, if we roll that over to the next year, that might help to adjust the appropriation, right?
Appropriations don't work that way. Yeah, it's not like a checkbook.
Yeah.
It's just, you're saying this is potentially how much we're going to spend, and if you spend less, you start with what you have for the next year. It doesn't roll over.
And on the flip side, if you have with inflation, if costs go up, you're looking at a crystal ball saying this is about how much money we're going to spend in a year, and if it's more because of whatever reason, if there's a catastrophic, then you have to adjust for the following year. Yeah. Yeah. You're constantly trying
on to that too, in not so much the maintenance side of things, but on my side of it, transportation. You have to have an extra lane there to be prepared for the unknowns.
And I get that. I'm not
And I don't know what that percentage
right. I don't. You've
percentage
had this
is.
discussion. I don't know what that percentage is.
But he could blow too tired or transmission that they had put in there for a percentage of that. But you try to keep new enough machinery that you don't have that issue also. So
I see how it works. It's just different.
Right. This is very different.
I think you've done that in the past. I remember reading some of your yearly annual report that you included those figures in there before, if I remember correctly.
I've tried. I mean, you try to work in those with that wiggle room so you don't get to the point where you have to do an emergency transfer, have a special meeting.
Exactly. We don't want to do that.
Right.
No. No. It's just,
But I get what you're saying, and I think that's fair. Yeah, I mean to see, because the only way you're going to know where we came from to where we go is to see the history of it. So that makes
you
sense.
have to build trends. You can't build trends unless you know what the data points are.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Comment on that. But I happened to be in Walmart last Friday while you guys was in Great sight to see.
You know, when you have kids saying, this is really my stuff, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool to see. It was a good moment. You know, I have mixed emotions sometimes about events like that, but when you're talking about the kids and for some, and in one particular case, I know for sure this was going to be that child's Christmas because the family had some hardship and it just wasn't, they weren't going to get Christmas presents otherwise. So it was really cool and to see the excitement, even on the clothing side, the kids were excited to get new clothes and things like that. And the families were really, really good about staying as close to that dollar amount as possible. And it was just a good time.
Anything else for me?
Mine's fairly short for this time of year. Just letting you guys know the update on AMP. I have talked to AMP. They were going to get a hold of AES on the power supply that we had talked about moving forward. They did get a hold of AES, and AES said after the first year when the holidays all get done, they'll meet with us, get a meeting, and kind of see what the progression is going to look like moving forward. Really didn't get much other than that, so that's kind of where we stand with that. I did let the sales know that as much as we were grateful that they offered the free transformers, that unfortunately things have changed a little bit on what's being offered, so we didn't need those. So that's under wraps. Did have an accident last Thursday on Southwest Minster and Cook Street. Unfortunately, we don't know what vehicle did it, but at the end of the day, a power line got tore off a garage where they're serviced. We ended up calling in Lakeview. They come in to cut the line wire off the pole. It did extensive damage to the garage and his equipment there. Nathan put out a post on social media. Fire department walked around and looked and talked to some neighbors, and nobody had, if they had cameras, they weren't on, they weren't working, so it looks like that one just had to be taken on the chin. As far as the village, it's not a whole lot. It's going to be some wire material, and Lakeview did charge us because it was overtime, and I'm fine with that because they were here in 20 minutes versus if we would have had to call AMP. They're coming from an hour and a half away, so everything just worked as it should in that type of instance. So moving forward, if we hear or see or know or somebody feels guilty and comes back and says, hey, you know what, I heard your line now, which I don't have, but you always use my job. I didn't think of that, but I don't think it's worth and I expressed to him that if Doc, this is on you because it is your equipment, and he understood that. We talked for about a half hour, 45 minutes. He was understood. He understood it. So I think everything is on the up and up, and he knows, that we need a couple days once he gets his part done to coordinate with our contractors to get him power back on. Luckily, he doesn't have any equipment in the garage that needs power. It's more of just a man cave type deal. So he said this time of year he's not real concerned about it.
This one of those instances where I missed it. Bill had cameras up. He would have had those cameras.
Yeah, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
We had conflicting reports of what kind of vehicle it was.
I thought I saw a semi on mine, but it was it's on my one building and it's far away, and I could just see a shadow, but it was definitely far.
Yeah, apparently we were in the backyard. What is that truck turning down the road? And then the next thing I know, I heard everything.
Yeah.
I got out there. I don't know how they got away so fast.
They went fast as soon as they pulled that wire down.
They had to do it.
You guys hit it on the north end, and now I turn.
The homeowner said it was a red utility truck. So that is in conflict.
Yeah, it's conflict, because I had white to me, but
That's what I saw.
it was very far away.
And we went out the next day and measured the house line to make sure that it stood in, it was high enough, and it was. But the problem is, even if you found the person that did it with cameras, we can't prove that it was high enough, they can't prove that it was too low. So at that point, it's just going to be back and forth. And I don't know where that would end up getting. We're looking at the $500 for the village. The homeowner will have about that, or maybe a little bit more, depending on structural damage to the garage. But
Do we need better, just a question, do we need better signage about trucks?
in my experience, better science does make bad drivers better.
I understand that.
You can put as many signs up as you want, and you're going to get that truck driver that's lost, missed his turn, and he's going to turn no matter what. Now, if he just pulled in there and backed up and went back out, if he missed his turn, we would never had this issue. But unfortunately,
The way I understood is look at Blue Lake Road and look how many trucks have been laid down underneath there.
yeah.
Now, the contract said it was a village administrator contract. The law is rather clear. You cannot contract the village administrator. The village administrator must be serve with the pleasure of the mayor, with council, can be terminated at the pleasure of the mayor, performs statutory duties only, and would be a W-2 employee. So their argument basically tries to relabel what the contract is, and otherwise they don't make an argument for what's called quantum merit, that if you do something, you should be paid for it. And I thought they may try to go down that road, and so I addressed it in my original motion, and they didn't fight on that. But they just said that he's owed money because it's just a contract, and he was doing other things besides village administrator. I don't know if you looked at the motion, but then taking kind of some pot shots at your office, and that was kind of expected that they would do that. But when I deposed him, it was just as simple as can be. This is what he did. This was the contract. It might be illegal. People make mistakes and destroy it. He didn't take it to his own attorney to look at it. And when you don't, you contract with a public entity at your own risk. So if there's something not right about it, political subdivision is not going to suffer. You are going to suffer. And the reason the law is that is because, just like you were discussing your appropriation, you cannot spend money that you have not appropriated. The law does not allow you to do that as a political subdivision. School districts can do that. I should say the law does not allow municipalities to do that. School districts can do that. You cannot do that. So, we filed our reply to that because the person who moves for the order from the court gets 2 bites at the apple. We file, they oppose,